The Buddha nature is the most sublime nature in us that lies latent and hidden in most of us. That means everybody has the capacity to be sublime, to be noble, to be God, good, to be benevolent, to be compassionate, to be blissful. That is the nature of the Buddha nature in us. The Buddha in Pali has two main meanings. Buddha means, in one sense, who knows the truth, the reality. The truth means the ultimate reality. That means an enlightened one. Therefore, an enlightened one is called a Buddha. But this is a metaphorical expression. Light is knowledge, clarity, clearness, openness, transparentness, not hidden. But our good nature in most of us is hidden, but lies later to be opened up. The dawning of that nature, the opening of that Buddha nature is called the dawn of light in the Buddha's words. In his very first sermon, which says, at its enlightenment, aloko udapadi. There dawns the light. Here light is used in the metaphorical sense. Disappearance of the darkness. Darkness is called, in the metaphorical sense, ignorance. Disappearance of the ignorance of the reality, the truth, the real nature. As I mentioned earlier, our innermost real nature, the true nature, is the Buddhahood, is the Buddha nature, is the goodness. In theistic religions, this benevolent, good, sublime nature is identified as an impotent God. We also have the opposite nature, the nature that is opposite to the good nature, sublime nature in us. In theistic religions, it is called the satanic nature, the nature of the Satan, the evil one. That means we have in us a good one and a bad one. Bad one is blissful. Bad one is painful. The good one is blissful. Bad one is malevolent. The good one is benevolent. The good one is compassionate and kind. The bad nature is unkind and cruel. Ordinary human beings have the capacity to be good or bad. But everyone has a latent capacity called wisdom. In Pali it's called panya. Wisdom is not knowledge, but the inner capacity of knowing. Knowledge is of the past, what we have acquired in the past, the data. Knowing is an activity in the present moment. Knowing here means being sensitive. Sensitivity. Sensitivity is a benevolent nature in us. When we are sensitive, we are free from all evil. We are virtuous. We don't harm others. We don't harm ourselves. Therefore, Buddha nature is to be free from harm to oneself and also to others. It's harmless nature, an innocent nature, a gentle nature, a sensitive nature. That nature does not come from outside. It has to be opened up from within. That is called the divine nature in us, the godly nature in us. The God within us, the omnipotent God within us, is our good nature. Buddha is an enlightened one who has opened up fully one's own good nature. And that good nature is omnipotent, very powerful. And omnipresent, it is not present in ourselves, but in all of us, in all beings. The good nature is there. The God is present everywhere, beyond the boundaries of time and space dimensions. Therefore, the Buddha within us is not a person, but a capacity. It is a universal capacity. Universal means it is boundless and timeless. It has no beginning, it has no end. End and beginning are in height, length and breadth. What that means, one can be good and godly anywhere at any time. It's a nature that is timeless and boundless in space. But as I mentioned earlier, that nature is hidden in us. The Buddha's directions were always to open up that hidden talent of goodness or godliness or the Buddha nature in us. That nature is not the name. The Buddha nature is a verbal expression. It is not the real godly nature. The godly nature is an expression. They are only words. To realize that nature, we have to be godly. We have to be divine. We have to be of Buddha nature. And that nature, as I mentioned earlier, is not coming from outside. We cannot pray and get it from somebody else. We have to open it up from within ourselves. A Buddhist is one who is on the path of being good and godly and benevolent. In Buddhism, Buddha Namaskara means, in reality, being bent on being good. Being bent on to be good. Namas means in Sanskrit to be bent. The typical traditional expression to be not to be bent on the Buddhahood, to be bent on the godliness or the goodness in us is called Buddha Namaskara, and it comes in Buddha's language as Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo means to be bent on. Bhagavato means bent on being free, free from bondages, not bound to anything, not bound to a tradition, not bound to a teacher, not bound to knowledge, but independent. That means being self-enlightened, free from ignorance of the truth within and outside us. Bhagavato, free, not bound to anything, not bound to wife or husband or children or parents or elders or teachers. You are independent. That doesn't mean you have not discarded them. You don't hate them. Full of love and compassion towards all beings. But you are not attached to any being, anything. Even the Buddha, the enlightened one. There is a story, parallel story in Zen Buddhism, telling the disciples of the Buddha in the path of being good, path of being enlightened, and the advice is given by the teacher is, if you meet the Buddha on the way, kill him. It is a metaphorical expression, not to kill the Buddha. Kill the Buddha means not to be attached even to the Buddha. A Buddha from outside. But there's a Buddha within us. We have to open up. It is that nature, that omnipotence in us, that omniscience in us, that omnipresence present in us that can enlighten us. Therefore, enlightenment means opening up of the Buddha nature in us. It is our inborn inner nature, the innermost nature that is covered by, according to theistic religions, covered by the Satan, identified as the evil one, covered by the evil nature in us. Evil nature is compared to darkness. The benevolent, good Buddha nature is compared to light. That is why at the moment the Buddha became an enlightened one, he expressed it as Aloka Udapadi. There was the dawn of light. Chakkung Udapadi, the sight of the light. Seeing the light, that means seeing the truth. Truth is the ultimate reality. That ultimate reality is in us, is the Buddha nature in us. That will get opened up one day or the other. As that nature is latent in every being, unenlightened being, every being, unenlightened being, is destined to be enlightened one day or the other by opening up that godly nature, the divine nature, the Buddha nature hidden in us. It is not coming from outside. It is coming from inside. It opens up with the opening of the wisdom, the ability the mental capacity to see the truth, the reality, the good nature in us is called wisdom, not knowledge. Wisdom begins where the knowledge ends. Knowledge is the data or the information we have gathered from the outside through our sensory organs that are not capable of knowing the reality of anything. Our eyesight is limited, our hearing is limited. We can't see even what a cat can see at night. We can't hear what a dog can hear. Our ears are not so sensitive as those of a dog. So is our nose, not sensitive as the nose of a dog. We cannot smell what a dog can smell. Therefore, our knowledge gathered through our sensory organs are inadequate, insufficient, distorted, not real. The reality, the truth, the Buddha nature is within us to be opened up. To open up that, the technique is called bhavana. In Pali, that is called meditation. In English, that is to be aware of yourself. Self-study, self-realization. Enlightenment is self-realization. The realization of the real self, not the soul. The soul is only an illusion. That is why Buddha referred to a truth of the universe, a truth of in us, as anattata, soullessness. Because that Buddhahood has no soul, the Buddha within us is not a person. It has no image of its own. That is why for about 500 years after the passing of Buddha, no Buddha image was created, because Buddha said, the Buddha is an appati Buddha. The Buddha has no image. It is spirit. It is the truth. It is the reality. It is a capacity which has no form. It is a formless state, but an omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent state, beyond all boundaries of time and space. That means we are not limited beings. We are unlimited beings in time and space. Realization of that nature in us is called getting enlightened. And as I mentioned earlier, every one of us who is not enlightened has the capacity to be enlightened one day or the other by opening up the real Buddha nature, the godly nature, or the divine nature in us.